So I was a product manager, assistant, lead. Um, how did I get into it? So like, I basically, with this job, I've been with them since I was 21 years old. I'm currently 32 years old. When I first started this job, it was a temporary job doing data entry. And this company was closing, and basically this company was being bought out, so they hired temps to basically help pack up and redirect wherever the product was going, and they was closing down that particular warehouse that we were that they were located at. So I came in, basically, it was a girl. She was like, oh, if all y'all gotta do is take a test, would you apply to the job? It's real easy, adding and subtracting, right? And, just like real easy fundamental math. So I'm like, all right, okay, I needed a job. I was going to school full time, basically broke college kid, but I was living with my parents. I wasn't with my mom. I wasn't living in a dorm or anything like that. But school was free, and I just had to kind of figure it out as far as gas and stuff like that. I could go to my mom, but honestly, like, I am the oldest of four, so I was the first kid to go to school. Yeah, my mom already she ain't had the money, like, period. So, okay, it was nothing to give me, gas, once a week, a couple dollars for that or whatever to get to and from school. But anything extra that I wanted to do, I had to figure, basically try to maneuver and figure out how I wanted to do that, and by way of finding work. So I was desperate to make money while I was in school, because it was very hard. Even though my books and stuff were paid, you want to do things that a young kid wants to do. So this girl, she mentioned it, and I'm like, all right, well then I'll go ahead and apply. Like, I clearly can do that. I'm in college, so I can do fundamental math, whatever. So I get an interview, but as I'm in the interview chair, I'm waiting to like get this supposed test that I get, but supposedly they needed someone for data entry instead. So I'm like, I'll do data entry. I think it made maybe $1 or $2 more than the position that the person that I knew told me about. So I'm like, I'll just apply for that. For the data entry position in the warehouse, I'm not doing a lot of walking around. I'm on a computer. Cool. And I'm making more. Bet. So I did that, and then that was for a couple of months, and then that job it had fizzled out. They basically was like, look, this is our last day. We're closing the warehouse, and it's great to have you, but we gotta go. Cool. I already knew that it was temporary, and I was still going to school. So I did temp with this company for maybe about 7 months or so. It was from, I'll say, the end of the year. So let's say November. Let's say it was August to about April. So August, September, October, December, March, April. So about 9 months, right? 9 months. And then from there, then I just basically was back looking for work. And I had like a couple odd jobs, but I finally found something at the airport. So I was like, oh, pet, that's better than the temp. I'm at the airport, so that means I definitely can be making money overtime, things like that, while I manage going to school. So I stayed there. I think they had a temp process. If it wasn't 3 months, it might have been 6 months until I went with full benefits, like 401k and all of the stuff that they give me. So I stuck with them, and then literally the same month I became permanent with them, I got a call back from that temporary job that I currently left, that I currently did another 9 years with, that I did 9 years, almost 10 with. So when they called me. They're like, hey, we got two positions. They called me for a position in a warehouse, and they let me know that there was also a logistics position in the office. But we really need you for the warehouse. Like, it's open. Are you interested? We know how you used to work then. So they had a rapport. So they're like, hey, you want to go in? So I'm like, I just became permanent at my current job. But how much? Just curious, because I always had the perspective that anything that I'm moving in and going in is going to be better than where I was before in some aspect, or that I'm comfortable with. So when I was at the Miami, I was at the Miami International Airport. They and I looked at that like, okay, that could be somewhere where I'll be for a while, at least until I finish school. And the benefits is flexible, and as far as I could switch out shifts with other people if I needed to. Seniority based, cool. The longer I stayed, the better my schedule. And at that time, before I even became permanent, I had a groove schedule that I liked anyway. So I'm like, okay, this may be it, and I'll look at maybe doing TSA, something else that might be a higher rank eventually in the airport. So when I got that call from a coworker that I worked with there, I was just like, do I stay at the airport or do I go with them, right? And my first thing was that I thought about, I was like, these few months that I've been here at the airport is great, but I notice it's a lot of wear and tear on my body. And I'm young. Like, I'm not saying that I can't stand for hours, because that's basically what we were doing a lot of standing. But my brain wasn't being, like, challenged. I'm literally doing, not any knock to anybody, I did the job. Literally felt like I was doing like a Walmart job, like standing, and I'm talking about like Walmart greeter, because I technically was a greeter. So there was no substance to it, but they wanted to keep me, of course, because I'm doing a job, I'm reliable, I'm dedicated, loyal, So I'm like, cool. But then with that job, I'm like, well, I was there already before. I kind of know, what to expect. And it's an office job, so I'm actually in an office. I'm not seeing a bunch of different customers, and it seemed like it's a little slower pace. But it's always a different perspectives on what you want. So when I thought about it, I'm like, well, go ahead, I'll do it. I'll get paid a little more, and instead of doing the warehouse position that they called me for, I'm gonna do the logistics in the office, type of situation. So when I called her back, they was like, yeah, okay, like, come in on such and such, day, and we could have a conversation. Had a conversation and filled out the application, submitted the application, and I basically came in and basically started. First, they needed me to, warehouse was prioritized. So they're like, look, we know what you say, you want logistics, we're going to give you logistics in the office. First, we need you to, spend some time in the warehouse. They need more help there than in the office right now. So can you do that? Went in. I probably did that for about 3 months, and then they moved me into the logistics. So got into logistics. That was great. I was there for about probably like 3 years, and my manager, he quit. So him quitting, being in the location that he was in, we were all in, I live out of Miami. So in the department that he covered, which logistics, he was the only manager that was handling it on this part of the country. So, and it left 2 employees, which is me and another girl, a lady who I'm really cool with to this day. So what they did was, they tried to hire another person because they were, they just tried to hire another person. And when they hired them, they basically was a manager. After they did that, for a while, I wasn't, I didn't, I was upset. I was upset that my manager quit, because we had a good bond, like our department. But again, I'm at a job, and it's, you can't really, not you can't really get in your feelings, but you need to learn how to check them, how to keep manage them and realize this is still a business. So for whatever reason that person is not there, there's some reasons that we don't know or we wouldn't even understand. So let's just leave it where it's at. So during that time where he quit and they were looking for some other managers, and just it seemed like they didn't really know what they wanted to do with the department, they brought somebody else on, and eventually I got offered another position within the company, and that position led to where I currently left from, which is procurement specialist that I went into. So procurement was basically a buyer's assistant. You basically did, at that time when I got hired with that job, you did everything that the product manager / buyer advised you to do along with your job. So it was very vague because you had a general synopsis of a general idea of what you had to do, but you didn't have any boundaries as to what should you do, or what should you say, what should you do, what should you say no to, and what should that buyer be doing, So it was like that for a long while. I was at that position for 7 years in total. So I can say about 3 to 4 years was ran in that particular way. So I basically came from, doing temp, and then when I left for temp, they called me back to be full time. And I left where I was at the airport for more stability. I feel like I can grow. I believe that I can grow way more with the position that they called me back for than where I was. Like, I felt at the airport where I was working at, like, I seen it's only 3 positions, and it's Shark East Shark, and it just, I can see the tunnel, and I'm like, I don't want to fool with that. There's really no level for growth. It's really 1, 2, or 3 tiers, and I don't want to go in either tier. So I already saw that was coming to an end. Crazy enough, but I become permanent. It was just like, yeah, I'm staying because I'm dedicated, but I don't really see any opportunity to grow in the way that I wanted to grow. So that's basically why, what attracted me to leaving. If I never got the call, I probably would have stayed at that job and maybe found something else within the airport. But so I stayed at that job, that new position, for about 4 years, and 5, 6, going into where I am today. And the turning point for me, when I realized that I wanted to quit or wanted to leave, was after constant positions that I seeked after, I gotten rejected. So the first position that I reached out was, of course, if I'm the assistant, then I'm going to apply to be the buyer, So I applied for that. I applied for this, I applied for this, even like before I had my daughter. So my daughter's 5 years old, and I was already interested maybe like a year, even maybe 2 years before I even had her. And I'm like, look, I'm interested, I'm willing, I'm open to learning, and I'm interested in doing this. Like, I want better, I want more. So, it was always like a run around or, oh, we'll see here, what do you think about that? And it never was a straight up answer. And or it never was okay, Mercedes, you're going to transition. It was like, let's train you, see how far you go, and then like, it really wasn't really like clear. So up until, I can say, 2020, which was COVID, we switched managers, and that manager, I had a manager. So after I moved from the logistics department to now procurement specialist, I had a new manager. That new manager, she wasn't there much longer until she resigned. For like, I don't really know why, but she basically left, and they didn't have any director until maybe a few months. Now I'm into the role. So I jumped into the role like a fish out of water. So I had no guidance, no training docs, no onboarding, nothing was structured when I went into the procurement. So I really was winging it, trying to figure it out. Like, the first day I started, I was so stressed trying to figure out what the hell am I really doing. Luckily, I had a coworker, really good friends to this day still, that came from the position that I was currently in, that I currently went into, and he just became a buyer. So he was able to give me like a general background, like, okay, this is what you have to do. But even just telling me that is different than when you actually doing the job and it's lost, So I did the procurement. I'm sorry, I was in procurement. I tried to become a product manager / buyer for a while. It almost seemed like nobody really took me serious. And I could say maybe at the beginning I could see that. I could probably see that because I was still shy. I didn't think that I could do it. But I wanted to put myself out there to let it be known, like, hey, I know I've been in this position, and I know that I might be a little quiet and it might not look like I want anything, but I'm going to open up my mouth and I'm going to say, hey, if you were looking, you can look over here too, So once I had that, and it didn't seem like it was going. We had they were looking for a director, so they, at the time, what they did was, there was a senior product manager that they basically moved up to become a manager, and I was one of his employees, along with a couple of other people that was in that branch that I was in. So he put me to the side. He was like, yeah, I heard that you like, to buy, you wanted to be a buyer, how serious are you about it? And, matter of fact, I take that back. No, he didn't say that. When I found out he was my new manager in February, I went to him, February 2020, I remember. And I told myself before I went to him, I said, this is my last time asking to get a last time to let them know that I'm eager for this opportunity. I want to learn. I want to be trained to be a PM. Once I said it to myself, I told him. He said, okay. He probably asked me a few questions, and that was that. COVID hit March 2020. I didn't hear anything back. So we basically went on shutdown mode, and we went from working from home. This was a fully 100% office job, but now, because of COVID-19, we were now moved to be in our house and work remote 100%. So I could, you know, that was a little havoc for a lot of people. So when he did finally circle back with me, this had to be August, maybe August, September, something like that. So when, you know, when that happened, he was like, hey, you know, I remember you told me earlier this year that you wanted to be a PM, you know, what, yeah, they wanted to be a PM basically, like, what do you know, do you want to start training? I'm like, yeah, sure, like, you know, granted it is a couple months, like, out there, I thought this was an afterthought, but yeah, this might be my moment. Okay, really good training. Even the trainer was like, oh my gosh, like, I see your improvement. I see you having a mindset of a buyer. All while this is happening. And this is the thing with private companies that, and I don't want to call it private companies, but I believe private companies do that because public companies, they basically can't. Like, they have to, like, communicate these things with you. But all while this is happening, they are putting another manager, they're actually making a manager for product manager assistance. So that's a conflict, not a conflict of interest, but it's confusing because he's my manager from my knowledge and he's training me all the while they're bringing another manager on to now be my manager. So he's not going to be my manager anymore. So I remember when we had a conversation and he was like, yeah, you're not going to be reporting to Jen. And I'm like, okay, so what does that mean for me? Like, thought I was trying to be a PM and you guys are basically telling me no. Like, I cannot do that because I can't do that right now because I'm not ready. Like, I'm really not ready to be a PM. And I can't do that now because I have a new manager. Like, and clearly they're gonna need the people that they have that's currently there, so that way they can try to learn as much as they can, engulf themselves as much things that they can to learn the position and the people and how we work. So I was like, I'm upset, you know, and I'm like, so I'm not gonna be a PM, and like basically you guys knew this, and I remember me saying, I'm like, you guys had to have known this, you didn't find this out 20 minutes ago, you know, and I remember it being dead silent. So I was like, you know what? I'd rather not in that position. And I might have handled it a little immature, but at the time my feelings was hurt because I'm like, I can say for at least 2 to 3 years I've been trying to be a PM. I've been putting myself out there. I've been, sitting with PMs that I work with and they're training me on how to do lines. Even PMs advocating for me like, yeah, she can do it. She just needs to get, and that's what the bottom line was. She needs to get the workload off of that she's doing now so that way she can have the ability to do it, you know. But there was just people that, not people, I guess that's just not what they wanted, you know. I didn't see that then, but I'm like, okay, cool, I'll just focus, put my head down in my position and just kill it, you know. And as I was in that position, there was something else that came. So as they hired a new manager, well, they hired a manager within. She's a manager that's in the same office that I was in. So at that point, I'm like, all right, bet. Work with her, whatever, you know, personalities, and you know, just getting to know everybody, how they work, and what their expectations are, and what have you. So there was another position that I saw, for HR, accounts receivable. I'm like, I think I can do that, and I never see any position because the itch of wanting more was still there. By this time, when I applied for AR, I wanted more than what I got, and I was seeing some what I found out later and understanding those were character flaws in my manager. I didn't want to deal with it. Because what Mercedes does when she doesn't want to deal with something, she either avoids it or she just leaves it all together. Like, okay, I'll go find something else to do. And with that, I was trying to find another position within the company. And finding another position in a company was applying for the AR position. I got a call. Hey, Mercedes, I didn't know you were looking for another position. You know why? And I told them straight up, hey, I want more. I've been in my position for about, I think at that time, maybe 3 years. No, at that time I had to be maybe 4 or 5 years. And I'm like, I want more. And I never see this position open, so I applied like, what the hell? Let me do it. Applied, wait about a week to get a response back. I emailed, I'm like, hey, is there anything on it? Oh no, they chose a different, route. All right, cool. So then I just kind of like, stayed back, and I had another position, because I'm like, if I was to do anything else at this job, aside from what I did, from where I have now, I would want to go into HR. Oh, excuse me. I would like to go into HR or accounts receivable. That was the only other departments that I was interested in going in. And so I tried AR. They were like, no. So I'm like, okay, last bet would be HR. And HR, they were, they currently, at the time, I tried 2 times. At the time, and I wasn't sure if it was before, I think it was before, actually it was before the AR position. I spoke with someone who was one of the managers there for an internal hire. And at the time, they were willing to hire me, but I was going to be making less than what I was currently making. And at that time, I wasn't willing to make less. But yeah, I wasn't at the time, I didn't want to make less. So I'm like, no, I'll just stay where I'm at now and just find something else that I'm going to actually get made more in. And then I've tried the AR position. After the AR position fell through, then I applied and really spoke with the director, telling him like, hey, I want to go in HR. Like, what are the positions that I can apply for? What is there that I can do to move, out of this and out of the position that I'm in? Like, it's cool, but at the end of the day, it's not what I want to do. I like this. I love the skills that I've built in the position, but the job itself is not fulfilling. It's not fulfilling. So, they was like, yeah, we just hired a whole bunch of people, and we basically can't afford to hire you. So I'm like, all right, bet. So let it go. Again, head back down, focusing on, what I'm doing at hand. And fast forward 2024, I had a coworker that had a position that she entered in as being a CEO or a COO of a new company that was branching out from the current company that I was in. So the company that I was a part of had sister companies, if you would, but they all work together. So if my understanding and how they put it to me was, if you had company 1, company 2, company 3, yeah, company 1, company 2, and company 3, they all work under the same umbrella. However, if I sue company 1, I can't sue company 2 and 3 as well. I only would be suing company 1. So that's basically was a new company that they, branched off in doing. And when she was working there about a year, and she needed some help. She needed help bad. Like, there was only like 4 people working, and it was crazy. So after, she kept, oh, you should work for me, you say you want to look for something else. But by this time, I'm not even gonna look. By this time, my plan was I was going to school, and I was using, all of the benefits of going to school with my job. So I'm like, you know what? I fell in that education. I loved it. So I'm like, I'm going in the education field. Like, this is where I will be fulfilled. Maybe, of course, starting off generalized teaching, but that's not what I want to do. I want to build processes. I want to help build curriculum, things like that. Training maybe teachers or advisement, something in that realm. So I'm already seeing, I'm not going to be here too long. Let me get my schooling. Let me, go and get every possible, training or anything that they have open up for me to learn. Let me do that and maximize completely off of the company that I'm at right now. And that is exactly what I did from 2020 when I got that no. I just did that. Now, granted, I was still applying to other jobs, probably not as frequently because a lot of the jobs wasn't hiring and things like. It was COVID, so it was a battle between comfortability and knowing that I wanted more. Also, that was in place. So, because you get in the little bit of raises, you get in the flexibility to do this, to do that. So that gets foggy a little bit from the main goal at hand. And the main goal is wanting more and making more money, and being fulfilled. So a few of those are being checked off, but not all. And it felt like a cycle. Like, I would go from, going on, I love, the company for, what it was, but the job itself, it wasn't what I wanted. I would see myself at times like, I don't want this. Like, this isn't it. This isn't it. I'm getting frustrated. I don't want to do this. Like, this isn't it. But anyways, so back to my coworker. Yeah, she had been working on this, this new company with the job. She's like, look, I can hire you. Basically, doing what you're doing now, plus, accounting, like, you'll have more flexibility, this. So I'm like, okay. At first I'm like, no, I don't know. Like, I don't think I want to learn nothing new. I'm already in school. I'm about to finish. And I'm like, I think I'm good. Like, honestly, I think I'm good. I'm almost done with school. And, if I jump on with you, and especially because I was cool with her, I'm like, if I jump on with you, I'm only going to be here for a year or 2 years, and then now I'm going to leave, and then now what do? Find a whole new person when you could have probably found a person now, and they've been with you for 5 or 10 years, Then I'm not giving you that commitment after 2 years, basically. I knew once, for sure, I was hitting the 10-year mark, but after 10, that was it. But anyways, again, head down, building processes, increasing my value with the company. Her manager went to my manager and told my manager, like, they wanted me. And she basically was like, she called me in. She was like, hey, I have some news for you. Blow Joe, he came to the office and he spoke very highly of you. He said that he really would like for you to work with him. He said, I'm gonna, you have my blessings. Like, if you can go ahead and talk to him. He's waiting on you. You get all the details you need, and let me know. I went, sat with him. He was like, yeah, I've heard about you. I heard you do great work. You've been looking forward to something new. Da, 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 da. Here's what we have for you. So, gave me contract, and it was basically doing everything that I was doing plus more. The pay was 20. If it wasn't 25, it was 50 cents more than what I currently made, with the possibility of a bonus, or not even a bonus, a raise after 3 months. At first, I was like, okay, yeah, because I can, move into another position, and it sounds good. Someone controller or operator, like that's the name of it. I'm like, what is a controller operator? Like, I'm Googling, and that's another thing. Sidebar, like these private companies, they can make up whatever position that they want, and it's probably not even really a position. It's a combination of multiple positions, or it's not really a real position. It's a part of multiple positions, and they basically made it a name. So you can't really define what it is. I know because I looked it up, and when I looked up that position, it was more stuff that they added on it aside from what I Googled and did the research on them. So but I said, yeah, I'm like, you know what, I'll do it. I'll take a leap. I'm only gonna be here for a year, 2 years. I'll do it. Like, maybe this is the courage, that I need to, move ahead. And granted, I've been doing it already, but maybe this will be in a new position, and I can probably get like bonuses and stuff like that. So they told me this was around Easter, and I remember because I was fasting that week. And there were, like, when I went, I'm like, okay, this must be a sign from God that this is something that's for me, to move into for another year, make a little, So I'm like, I'm not gonna be scared. I'm gonna do it. And God, if this is for me, the door will be wide open, and if it's not, that door will be shut, right? So Easter, the weekend came, and I remember that Monday morning, because I already made my decision. I was like, yep, I'm going to do it. And yeah. I called the guy who sat down with me. And that was the thing. Since it wasn't that much of an increase, I'm kind of pushed back on the pay. But I said, before I said that, I wanted it okay. So yeah, I'm interested in the position, but I would like to, at least make an additional because they're doing 50 cents. So I'm like, damn, at least let it be $1.50, $2. Damn, like, let it be a little more if y'all, And I remember he said, you didn't get a call? I'm like, no. He was like, you didn't hear? And I'm like, no, I didn't hear what. The president of the company stopped basically your you moving to the other company, and they really need you at the position at what you're doing right now to cover the biggest line the biggest line in the department, right? I felt so humiliated, so rejected. I felt like I've been played with. I felt like I was toyed with. Because hit me, I'm out of my own little business, doing what I'm doing, got my little exit strategy. Here y'all come telling me about a position. I said, you know what? Let me do that. And y'all tell me he said no, basically. I felt like I was boxed in. Like, that left a really bad taste in my mouth. I'm not even gonna lie. But I said to myself, thank you, God, for keeping that door closed. And I also said, I'm not going to apply for any other positions here. I'm going to focus. And basically, when I leave, I'm gone. Like, once I get my degree, I already know education is hiring. I'm going to apply and I'm gone, basically. So those series of events basically was my turning point that I've been kind of battling. So it was so much about my passion and my personal growth. And one thing you're not gonna do, I feel like that I'm a nice person and the sweetest person and very patient and everything, but when it comes down to what I want to do in my growth, and I feel in any way that I'm being stagnated, I'm leaving. I mean, there's nothing to really have a conversation about. So, yeah, but I knew that God had more for me, and I knew that, at the end of the day, He called me to education. And maybe that was a distraction to see if I would have stayed or not. But fast forward in October or end of September, me and my family, we faced homelessness for a wrongful eviction. And during this time, I couldn't think straight. I didn't know what to do. I could not be working and thinking straight at the same time, because we were basically between his grandmothers, my aunts, back and forth, still having to take my daughter to school. And honestly, as far as money went and savings, we already depleted it. We've depleted it. So it only left me to, led me to, maybe think of like plans outside of staying here, because I felt like over time, when I let God back into my life, that I was sacrificing, and not even sacrificing, I was giving up things like trusting God in my faith. And the only thing that I didn't do that in and that I held down was my job, my income, and the stability and the security, and knowing that I put 40 hours in, I know what I'm getting every single Friday, And when it was getting very, very hard, and that's when I was like, you know what, let me really start looking for other places outside of this job. What is keeping me here? And a lot of the times you don't realize, and you don't put everything on a board because you're comfortable. So what I mean by that is, I'm trying to maneuver, maybe finding another part-time job, because at this time I've been working doing Uber since June. With doing it with like the rental company, with a rental car. I'll make a video about that if y'all want. But doing that had me. Doing the Uber opened up my perspective, like, hold on, there's more ways that we can make money out here. I don't have to be at a 8-hour job, 40 hours, pushing like all day, using my day, not getting off of work, trying to go to school and right after school doing Uber. Like, I could be a little more flexible. I could find other flexible jobs in this, you know? And not to say that the job wasn't flexible, but they want you for 40 hours, you know? So I'm like, you know what? Let me also just start looking for more work. And I had the faith that I know the skills that I was taught and the skills that I knew before that I had, that I could use that at someone else's job and probably making, and definitely making more than I was making. So it was a couple things that it was basically my circumstances was pushing me to look beyond where I was currently at to produce more. And also my faith was being tested, like, okay, do you trust me or do you trust this job? It was like, do you trust me to provide or do you trust yourself to provide at this job? And I remember that come to my mind, like, so it was constant, like from us being evicted to when I resigned. It was a very, very, very heavy weight that I needed to let go. And I know at the time that it looks so crazy. It looks very crazy, like, girl, you just got evicted. You don't think keeping your job would be the best thing you should be doing? Of course. But when you're following God and what He has you to do and paying attention and being intentional on what He's doing and paying attention to what He's actually doing, nothing ever made sense in anybody's story. Nothing. It always is like, girl, you crazy. Everybody looking at you crazy, like, you are crazy. Knowing that I'm about to graduate as well gave me comfort. Like, I have a plan. Like, I know I'm graduating. I have my BA, and I'm going into that. I know if I left last year making 41 and they're signing me making 50, I'm already making a 10%, 10 grand extra than where I left. So, it finally was the day that I was going to tell her. I wrote down my resignation letter. I was working on a resignation letter for like a month. I ain't even going to lie. Because I was supposed to leave before Halloween. So I was supposed to leave in October. I was scared. I was with a company. I was with people that I liked. And, you know, the comfort. And you talking about leaving and now you don't have a job. You don't have a, like, what are you doing, you know? But I weighed all my options, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna bet on me. I'm going to bet on me. I put all my trust in them, you know, all my eggs in them, hoping that I can get what I feel like I deserve. But nobody is gonna tell you, give you what you think you deserve. You gotta get what you deserve. Like, you have to fight for what you deserve. And I felt like I done fought for 5 years on what I deserve, and it was still a waiting game. So the day was the day, and I had to let my manager know. The first day that they came in, the first day they didn't come in the office because that's what I'm saying, distractions and stuff like that. It was so like crazy. This person, they were dealing with a lot of, family, things with elderly parents getting sick. So sometimes they weren't really in the office, and they were, and they're not, and they were. So this particular time, they were in the office, and I'm like, I need to give them a letter of resignation. But I need to talk to them. I don't want to just send a letter of resignation. And I'm basically catching them by surprise and leaving a bad taste. I didn't want to leave a bad taste, even though I had one, right? So I called her on Zoom and just had my letter, and then I basically poured out my heart and my experience, and just said, look, I love what the company has done for me, but I'm basically pursuing my passion. and I'm gonna go ahead and pursue it. We've already spoke about it before. I told you once I got my degree, that I'm more than likely leaving, and I wanted to see, how much and how far I could go here, while I was here. And the response I got, it wasn't what I was expecting, but it was very well received. Granted, they wish they had more time because I gave them a week notice. I did not give them 2 weeks. I could not afford 2 more weeks being there. And I left. And I'm pursuing my new career path in education. And I have about 2 more semesters left of school. Honestly, I have 2 more, but it's like 2 more part-time positions. No, 2 part-time semesters, so I'm going to combine both. I'm in the middle of working on that too, so I'm combining both so I can finish out in the 1 semester, even if that means taking 5 classes. That's okay with me. And I'm not gonna lie and say I'm not in fear every day, or maybe a little nervous and considering that I might have made the best decision or not, but I'm at peace with my decision. I won't say it's easy because it seems like since I've done that, everything went haywire. But it's not knocking me off my goal. So I work through those challenges by just reading the word. I try to read my scriptures, put my alarms on, staying focused, knowing that I do have a plan. It's not that I don't have a plan. I left to pursue and bet on myself. So aside from education, at the time, I'm like, look, when I looked at my skills and what I've learned and what I've gained, I'm like, yeah, education is great, and I can utilize and go into this sector, but I can also go into working for the county as well. So I've been putting both hands in both pots by applying to positions that, with my skill level to and higher, and the county. Also, education is something that, again, I'm passionate in, but education is so broad. I can be training people in positions, any position. So I will be graduating with my degree in business and supervision and management, and then going into getting my master's degree, and then I'll be minoring in education. So making an impact is what excites me. That I've took a whole leap of courage that I didn't think that I had, and at the worst time of my life. I'm not even gonna lie, this is the worst time of my life, but I don't think I would have ever did it any other time. It's amazing how when your back is against the wall, you're able to produce and to be what it is that God asked you or called you to be. So my vision, whether it be county or education or whatever it is that I do, is to make an impact using all the skills that I've learned in the 9+ years in work and outside of work, to be in the school system, improve schools and the schools and their, the overall morale in the teachers. Like, yes, the students matter. The students are the overall objective. But do you know how many teachers mentally are not there? Mentally need support and need a boost of culture and morale and knowing, that they have support. And if teachers don't feel like that or have that support, how well do you think that they can do their job, even if they are doing this for a temporary time? So that's one thing that I know that I want to focus on. Of course, like I mentioned like earlier in the video, academic advisement. Like I want to have I'm young. I'm 32 years old. Gonna be 33 in May. I still have a whole lot of time to do a whole lot of impactful things. So whether it be me bouncing back and forth between county and education, you know, I'm open. I am open. Aside from doing that, I want to fund my business. Like that's the thing that needs to be funded. So what that looks like is me finding, you know, this education and the jobs in education or even in accounting, and building my network, posting my YouTube videos consistently, you know, getting you guys to know who I am, you know. And I thought, I got so many stories. What do I talk about? What do I talk about? And I'm like, let me just talk about it right now. I quit my 9 to 5. And what the heck am I doing? Why did I do it? You know? Maybe I pray that this does help somebody. This will help somebody. Because this is the beginning of the year. And there's a ton of people that want to leave their jobs every single day. The people that I work with wanted to leave the job. And, you know, I was there for, you know, support and them to make the sound decision, like, into what it is that they actually want to do before they are doing it, before they, you know, just say, to hell with this place, you know? Giving confidence in myself, like, I know that God didn't design me to just have one job. He didn't design me to just be who I am for one company. I have you know, a brain that thinks critically and creatively, and if I'm given and when I'm given those chances to execute, that's what I do. I also would like to have my own business, like businesses either like party favors, or just having doing t-shirts, just having multiple streams of income. And the job that I left from took a lot of that from me. 8 hours a day, critically thinking and solving issues. You think when I get up I'm trying to do that? So, you know, I'm excited. You know, the advice that I would give to you is, to anybody who's in this position, is, of course, have a plan A, and I would suggest possibly having a plan B, even a C. But even with those plans that you do make, be willing to pivot. Pivoting is essential. Recovering quickly is essential. If you do not recover quick, you will not be able to see in full fruition what you can actually do. So I'll offer you this. What passion do you have? What passion would you pursue if fear wasn't your option, wasn't a factor? If you didn't live in fear, what passion would you pursue? And I would say, believe in yourself first. Look within yourself. Give yourself an account. Write out an account of the things that you've done and you've accomplished over the last year, 2 years, maybe even 5 years. And once you do that, look at yourself and say, and you don't think I could handle this challenge? I'm sure you can. And until next time, you'll hear from me again. Comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what you think. If you have any, if you quit your job and pursue something else, and you're living in your full manifestation of what you wanted. Let me know if you toy with leaving or not leaving. Confidence, know that all those feelings are gonna come, but you have to keep those feelings. You are in control of those. And know that whatever the word says is the truth, not your feelings. Your feelings are temporary. Bye. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for viewing. And again, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Sadie May 530. You'll see me again.